Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Rachel. Welcome to my home in the North Shore of Chicago. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Rachael Johanson, and I'm a keynote speaker, and I'm a luxury brand strategist. So I am behind the scenes doing the marketing, the branding, the sales strategy behind some really brilliant creatives, interior designers, international event planners, and I get to help them tell their story and fully launch their brand into the luxury market. So we are in the North Shore of Chicago, and we are just steps away from Lake Michigan and about 40 minutes from downtown Chicago. And we are in my home, and we lovingly named it Snowdrop Cottage. It's a 1929 David Adler carriage house. And what's really special about this property is just next door, there was a massive estate. And this home in particular was where they stored the cars. So this home is the original man cave. And our kitchen was where there was a big pool table and there was a chauffeur's apartment upstairs. And this home feels like it came out of like a Snow White little fairy tale. This home is French country inspired, and we have this beautiful little turret, which is just such a magical little spot in the home that has little nooks and secret hiding spots that my daughter, who is 8 months today, her name's Lyda, she will grow up in this home and be able to look out the window and see the deer. I love the architecture. I love the history. It just feels magical. There's so many European homes out here. We, for a while, were splitting time between downtown Chicago and we were in Charleston, South Carolina. And I just love the history and the charm of Charleston, but didn't like the humidity. So we knew that the North Shore was where we wanted. We decided, my husband and I had a conversation, and we said, you know, if we want to be here in the North Shore of Chicago, we just need to get down here. Let's not wait for the dream property. Let's just get boots on the ground so when something pops up, we can dig in and we can be the first one in line. One day we're like on Zillow very late at night, and my husband goes like, I think we found it. And I don't think you're gonna feel like we're settling on this home. And we saw the property and I said, I love David Adler. This is the property. It was a little bit outside of the location we wanted to be in. But we called our realtor and I said, Andy, I'm sorry, I know it's late, but tomorrow morning, like, can you please get into this home? It's been on the market for like less than 48 hours. He FaceTimed me the next morning and he walked me through, and no joke, by 9 a.m. on my second latte, we were like, this is it, let's put an offer. Never saw the property, and we ended up purchasing this home. It's a really special little gem. This is my second favorite room in our home. And this home here, Snowdrop Cottage, is a carriage house. So there was a 17,000 square foot estate, and it belonged to the Strauss family. And they were super prominent bankers. And this home is where they stored all of their cars. So it was a 3-car garage, this property, and it had a chauffeur's apartment upstairs. So the island was not here. This was a billiards table. And I always like to think of Mr. Strauss like smoking his cigar, hanging out here. The fireplace is original. So they would hang out with their cars, they would smoke cigars, and they would be in the billiard space. And I just really love how this was reinvented for today. And these greenhouse windows, I think, are so special. It brings in so much natural light. And we are overlooking a ravine. So in winter, it'll be all snow, and I will see little deer and their mama out the window, which feels incredibly special. And we purchased this home only a year and a half ago, and I feel really, really grateful that the previous owners, they put a lot of work into this property. They redid the entire kitchen, and I really came in and styled it. I feel lucky. I mean, we put in custom seats over here, and it allows it to feel a little bit more layered, but they had the bones of this property done really, really well. And my husband and I, we just love to cook. Everyone always asks, like, who's the cook? Is it myself or is it him? And it's really both of us. This is our family hangout zone. We cook here, we'll hang here, I'll do emails here. And this is just a special place where we spend a huge, huge chunk of our daily life. And this over here is probably one of my favorite pieces in the home. It is a photograph of my family's business, and this is my great-grandfather, and he was a grocer, and he owned a little grocery store on Fifth Avenue in New York City. And I love history, not only architecture, but also family history. And my grandfather, who's loves of my life, he spent a lot of time when he retired doing a whole entire research study of our family, and he came across these photos and had it printed for me. So I think this is really special, and my husband and I always like to joke that, like, I'm a serial entrepreneur through and through, and it came from my family doing grocery work back in the day. And I feel like now that I have Snowdrop Cottage and I have this home, I never, ever, ever again want to have a home that doesn't have a fireplace. And I'm joking, but I'm also serious because Chicago is so cold in the winter, and being able to make a latte and sit here with my laptop and have the fire going and have music playing is completely my happy place, and it is somewhere that I just really enjoy spending so much time. Now, I think what's also really special about this home is the previous owners, they worked with what they had. They built these beautiful cabinets that have so much storage. I'm not going to show you guys because it is a mess. Like, this is like a pantry. We have lots of baby food in there right now, but they have these beautiful built-ins, and at the same time, they offer the opportunity to do these cozy little nooks. I got this Schumacher ticking stripe done, this custom seat. And I will sit here with my baby on my lap, and my husband will walk out, and we'll try to wave. She's not really getting it yet, but eventually I think she will. And this is a place where we play, where we hang, where we sing, where, I will sit with my laptop and do a few emails. So this is definitely a really, really special spot. And the holy grail is the coffee stand. I love this station so much. I feel like my friends and my followers and clients on Instagram, I think that this is like the only part of my home that they see on a daily basis. I have way too many lattes, and this is where I hang out, and I make my lattes, and I have a fun special time in the morning. I am a new collector to copper, and I found this amazing company called Copper Mill Kitchen, and there's a small business owner, her name's Beth, and her and I have become friends on Instagram, and I started to collect some really special pieces from her. So these are all in there, and I also think that this is really special. If you guys know Ralph Lauren coffee, like Ralph's Coffee, I love Ralph Lauren, and I was so inspired by Ralph's Coffee and the design. So my husband and I got custom cups made to look like Ralph's Coffee. But I think the interesting part of this story is it says Johnson on them and not Johanson. So my husband's father, he passed during COVID. And for his entire life, he also loved genealogy and family history. He did a deep dive, and he said, listen, guys, like, it's not Johnson, it's actually Johanson. It wasn't changed that long ago. It was changed in the 20s when the family came over from Sweden. And he always said, I eventually want to change our name back. It's not right. He just did this whole deep dive of research. And he passed, sadly, during COVID. And when my husband and I got married, we were sitting in the Massachusetts little court, and they said, we wrote down our name's going to be Johnson. And the clerk said, whatever you guys write down, make sure the spelling's right, because that's going to be your last name. And my husband just made a side comment, and he was like, you probably see Johnson a lot, but it's actually Johanson. It got traded over, the same Ellis Island story that everyone's had. And she said, you guys, whatever you put down, it truly is your last name. If you want to change your name, you guys can do it. And it was a really special moment. It was the day before our wedding, and his father was obviously not there to honor him. My husband and I both changed our last name to how it was originally spelled, Johanson, so an extra A. And these mugs we had made before the wedding. So they are Ralph's Coffee, and they're with the Johnson name, which is pretty special. So I love having my morning coffee out of there. And something that I have been collecting for years, my husband's like, this is kind of quirky of you, but I love vintage spoons. I think they're so fun. I have them in so many different shapes, colors, sizes, and they pop in here. So I make all my friends a special latte or a matcha, and they'll get a little special spoon with a Johnson mug. And over here, this is my little Peanuts eating area. She's very new to solids, and we are noticing that lots of messes have been happening. So we just recently moved this oil painting up a little bit because she can't fully reach it. But this is my Peanuts little nook, and this is where she has her breakfast. And this morning, for the first time, she tried carrots, and I think we have a good eater on her hand. I don't think she's picky, but we'll see. But this is her little special area. So I would say aesthetically, I lean towards how I dress is a little Ralph Lauren classic, but I always kind of want to be a cool French girl. So I like to think of my interior style as this Ralph Lauren classic meets a little bit of French. But at the same time, Snowdrop Cottage is a French country home. So we don't have this big, massive library. It's a carriage house. So when I designed this home, I wanted to have a little bit of Parisian glamour, that have the glitz and the glamour with some really beautiful antique mirrors from Paris markets. But at the same time, I wanted it to feel English and I wanted it to feel layered. So I use lots of mixing of patterns. I mean, you'll see throughout this property, there's toile, there's block print, there's little ticking stripes. There's a lot of mix of patterns going on. So this is a special property with, I would say, a little bit of hint of French glamour meets really comfortable and layered English interiors with an American twist. Welcome to my library / dining room. It depends on the day of what it is. We have a leaf on this table and it will get as big as up to 10. This is where I love doing my emails. I love sitting here and being inspired by books. And I just love, like everyone who loves interior design, I love these beautiful coffee table books. I recently found this David Adler book, and this came from some specialty bookseller because they didn't make too many of them. And I found our home in the book, and this made me so excited. So this is Mr. and Mrs. Strauss's house. This is the big guy that's next door. And when I say next door, it's really about a mile away. They own hundreds of acres. They had 4 different properties. So they had the carriage house, they had this house, they had a huge guest cottage with 6 bedrooms, and they owned all the property in between. So it is really a mile away, and I get to run by this big home all the time. And then I was flipping through and I found our home in the book. And that just felt so special to me. And this is where I worked with the Southern Crafted Shutters, that company, to make the original shutters, which is just really, really special. So this stays here, and I love just being able to look at it and look at all of the beautiful properties that David Adler did. And this little nook over here, I always like to joke. And I'm I don't even know if it's a joke, but it's serious. This is my dog's bed. So I have 2 puppies. I have Lolly, and she's 45 pounds. She's 9 years old, and she loves this Robert Kime vintage settee, and this is her sleeping area. And I always call this her little night light. I'll dim it at night, and I'll go upstairs and I'll say goodnight, and she's sleeping on her little dog bed, which is so funny and so silly. So this is her sleeping area. I found this settee on Facebook Marketplace, and this woman was obsessed with Robert Kime. She spent a ton of time in England and became obsessed with all of his work, and she had tons of special pieces, and she was downsizing. I wanted 15 of them, but they weren't for sale because her daughter was taking them, but she gave me this guy, which feels really special. We also covered all of our dining chairs in this linen Schumacher ticking stripe. You'll see this throughout the home. And a little bit more on this space. These are some vintage butter dishes, which I just think are cool and are special. And once again, this is a library / office. So I have my little pens, I have my candle, and this is where sometimes I will take this chair and I'll turn it around and I'll sit here and I'll type late at night. And like everyone that loves interior design, I have a massive stack of magazines that sits in a big basket and almost feels like a hoarder's collection of magazines, but it helps me become inspired. And it's also where I do my mood board. And I think ever since I was 10 years old, I've loved creating mood boards. And I had one in my bedroom growing up, and still as an adult, I do mood boarding. Sometimes it's on Pinterest and sometimes it's in my home. And I like to think my design style is, of course, like English matched with a little Parisian, but I also think it's really sentimental. And there are so many pieces in this home that have a meaning to myself and my husband. I think that the little things are actually big things. So like just last week, my grandfather wrote me a note about like how not to burn a steak. And he sent me over a newspaper clipping from the Wall Street Journal. So that goes on there. I have like really fun little stamps that came from our wedding invitation. So I like to keep all of the things and I like to display them throughout the home. This Belgian trunk came from an antique dealer. I love this piece. I think it's beautiful. I think it's special. And I think when Lyda gets older, where I'm not worried about the hinges, I think this would be a beautiful piece to go into her bedroom, and maybe we could store quilts or blankets or sleeping bags or all of the toys. So this will forever be a piece that's in our home. You know, when you find those forever pieces and you're like, I'm going to bring them with me, that's one of them. And I just love the idea of having a home that evolves with you over time. We've only lived here for 1.5 years, but a lot of these pieces I have been collecting for years, and now I get the opportunity to display them in this special property. And being someone that is so sentimental, I became obsessed with David Austin flowers. They did all of my wedding roses, and whenever we have special occasions, I call David Austin and I buy bouquets from them, and you guys are such a special occasion. I'm so happy you guys are here. So these are David Austin roses. I did these exact ones in white for our wedding, and I just think they're lovely and beautiful, and you will see them throughout the home. And you know, I think something special about having Homeworthy come is your home is in really great condition. So for someone to say that you haven't put a lot of thought into it is not the case. There's a lot of thought that goes into having you guys come. So we're having a dinner party tonight, and I'm really excited because I'm going to share some of these roses with some of my friends. Right before you go upstairs and right into the family room, I think one of the coolest things about our home, and my husband spent so much time to figure this out, was he added in so much brilliant technology. And I think that people think when you have a historic home that you can't include modern technology. And I think this is such a perfect example of doing something different. So we have these light switches, and we can put in family photos, and we can change them by room. So we just did a mommy-daughter little photo shoot out in the garden, in the courtyard. So those are here. And then upstairs in the bedroom, we have almost like this huge display of dog photos. And I think it's really special. And sometimes when we have people coming over, I'll make a note to my husband, like, hey, your mom's coming, like my mother-in-law, like, let's put up a bunch of photos. And she's so sweet that she'll think like all the photos were like specifically for her. So it's just a fun little moment to incorporate into our home. Welcome to our family room. This space is, I always like to think like a little cozy little snug. We have these English rolled arm sofas that we got custom made from Co. I think it stands for Custom Cozy Couches or something like that. My husband is 6'3", so he wanted something that was long, and it offered him some space to get cozy and watch TV. So these were done in this beautiful velvet. I think I will have these forever. I feel like they really are a staple, and we can recover them for years to come, and they're really cozy. We have a 105-pound Rottweiler, Archie. He's my big buddy. And when we got these sofas made, I had them send me a bunch of swatches, and I was worried about him shedding. So I took all of the velvet swatches and I petted him with each one to figure out where the black was showing up or not showing up. And these are perfect. They hide so much. And if you follow me a little bit more over here, we have this beautiful French antique. And I think this is the only piece that we have in our home that came from my side of the family. And this is a piece that is in the family room that stores all of the games, and it's right by the fireplace. And my husband and I like to sit on cozy Chicago nights and play Yahtzee or categories together. So this is a special piece. And over here, we have our fireplace. I am someone who has the fireplace going on throughout the year. And this is a gas fireplace, which is so lovely and nice, but at the same time, it kind of looks like it's wood burning. So I think it brings that historic charm, but still works for modern living. And on this piece, this is like, so special to me. This is another sentimental piece that I've like held on until the end of time. So my husband and I, on our first date, he gave me these. He went to go to a florist and they closed early, and he was like, in his head, he was like, I want to get her something, but like everything's closed, so he didn't know what to do. And he was walking by a little lotion shop, La Octane, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they were selling dried lavender. So he grabbed this for me, and I've kept it, and I will forever keep it. And I think it's a special piece that I have. And I have been collecting lots of little white vases throughout the home that you'll see. So this is one that I think just is lovely, and it offers a little bit of dimension. And I've also been collecting lots of these like pretty silver boxes. So I have a bunch of these throughout the home, and these are now my binky storage. So I have one on the coffee table or cocktail table over here that stores binkies for my daughter. So I think you can kind of have something that works for everyday living too, but still feels a little bit chic. So we have those guys there. And I recently found these little sconce shades. These came from Mrs. Alice, and they are a English brand. And if you guys get a second for like the best case study of an experiential brand, like Mrs. Alice is it. She is like British royalty and created this really cool company with tons of pattern. I just think she's fabulous, and she's my new girl crush. So these are Mrs. Alice. And also, throughout our home, we have lots of these beautiful candlesticks, these vintage candlesticks. So for my husband and my wedding, so we were married January 7th. We got married in Massachusetts, like really close on the border of upstate New York, where I grew up. And I wanted it to be fully candlelit. Like I wanted no other lighting other than candles. So I spent almost a year leading up to our wedding sourcing and finding candlesticks on Facebook Marketplace. I found them on Goodwill. I would go into Salvation Army, and we had hundreds. I literally flew with suitcases of candlesticks. The venue was like, what the heck is up with this girl? This is a fire hazard. Like I had to buy special insurance for our wedding. But I love this because we get to now use these all the time, and they're throughout the home. They're just scattered everywhere. So candlesticks we'll use for birthdays, we'll use for cocktail parties, and they travel with us forever. This is also a really fun cozy seat. This is vintage Ralph Lauren, and another dog bed for my 45-pound puppy. She loves to sit here and curl up. And once again, it hides so much, which I think is just incredibly special. And I love the layered paisley here. We recently got these Schumacher pieces. I'll sit up here also with my daughter, and we'll play up here, which is a special little spot. We have tons of matchboxes, which I think is just so fun to collect. And whenever we go on date night, I'm always like grabbing one of these and putting it in my purse, and I like to keep them. And they also are obviously like something that you can use when you're looking to design your space a little bit. And something that I had such a fun time doing was getting books done that felt like they were coffee table books that you would get from Rizzoli. So I found a company called Milk Books, I think. And my husband and I got a coffee table book about our honeymoon when we went to Egypt, which is so fun. We also have one of our wedding, and we have another one that we just did for our daughter for her 6-month kind of anniversary of life. So we have all these fun coffee table books throughout our home that just tell the story of our family. And we got them all with kind of like the label on the side. So I'll say like Johanson Wedding, Johanson Honeymoon, Lyda Johanson. And I think these are really, really special. And they also feel like they go with the rest of the decor. My husband is the techie guy, and he said, honey, do whatever you want. I will live in the Snowdrop Cottage. I will live in Snow White's house. I will live anywhere you want to go, but please let me have my technology. So he did the TV and he got it as close to the windows and as much space as humanly possible. So I let him have his thing. And it is fun. It is a cool place to watch movies and have the fire lit. And we just enjoy a lot of family time here. We also had these beautiful pieces, custom made, which just allows a lot of extra seating. And when we have people over, I mean, we'll play board games here. We'll move all of this. We'll light the fire. This offers so much seating for everyone to hang out. And we have friends that have kids and they love to climb up here. And I just think it's a beautiful spot to really gather together. And we have on anchoring both sides of our windows, we have these bookshelves. And like everyone that loves design, I love to collect coffee table books. So I have them on probably every category, probably over 100, 150, 200 in this house. So everything from, you know, fashion designers to the New York City Ballet. And this one's about shipwrecked treasures, which is fun. And within these bookshelves, I have a lot of family and personal items in here. This is a piece that recently I acquired, came from an estate sale, but it reminded me of one that my mother-in-law had that unfortunately was broken. So as I saw this one, it almost felt like it came from the same collection. So this was a really, really special find. And I think it was like $9.99, which just made me so happy. I have photos of my daughter from our recent family photo shoot, of our little Peanut that are just fun to look at and see. I have a picture in here of my husband when he was 16 and he had one day on a race course. So I think that the green is pretty. We have a lot of like green, gold, and some purple. So I found this and incorporated it into our bookshelves. And once again, tried to incorporate kind of like these green, these velvets, kind of like this Ralph Lauren cozy library within this space. These beautiful two pieces were found at an estate sale, or actually an antique shop when I was in Detroit. I think they were $9.99, and I had no idea where they were going to go at the time. We were not living in this home, but I felt like I could not leave them there or else I would think about it until the end of the time. So they came here, and I think that they're such a perfect piece to anchor this other piece of art that I found in Asheville, North Carolina when I was traveling. And I think that, you know, traveling to different little antique shops or popping into estate sales when you're traveling, it just brings you a lot of different perspectives on design from different areas of the country. I found this old tapestry. This actually came from eBay. And I love that it's kind of tattered. I think it's fun. I heard from the eBay listing, right? So who knows? But this was a early 19th century tapestry. And then it was remade into a pillow. The woman, I guess, had some issue. She had a big piece and she had to cut some pieces off and she made this into a pillow. And I just think it's special and fun. And I love the layering of all of this. So I got into my line of work when I was really, really young. So I went to High Point University in North Carolina, which is the furniture capital of the world, thinking I wanted to study interior design. And as soon as I was exploring the courses and realizing, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much math, there's so much science involved. Like, this actually isn't me. What I really love and enjoy is being around these gorgeous interiors. This is where I feel the most inspired. But there's a piece of my brain that really enjoys the strategy element. So really early on in college, I was working High Point Market. I was helping the sales teams, you know, perform their orders or helping to walk people around the showroom. And I realized I love the marketing side and I love the inspiration and the combo of the two. So I started my first business in my college dorm room, which is like so silly and so funny. I was being paid nothing. I was bartering my services for like a Bravo, what is it called? Like turkey bacon sandwich at Panera, or I was doing it for free wine. And then I ended up graduating college and just further leaning into this journey. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be celebrating 10 years in business. And over the years, I have had such a joy of a lifetime to be behind these really fabulous women that are so brilliant at their craft and so wonderful at planning events if they're an event planner, or doing stunning interiors and full gut renovations, and being the marketing side and the strategy and the sales side behind their brand. I feel so lucky that I get to work with such amazing creative women. And when I was designing this home, I leaned on them to help me make some decisions. And I always say, like, I love beautiful things and I love the strategy side of design, but like, I'm not a designer. So sometimes I would pick out a light fixture. And I remember one time I had a client and she looked at me and she was like, wait, what? That for this room? I couldn't figure out the scale. It's just not my thing. So I really enjoy the selection process. I love the layering process. And then once in a while, there's probably like 5 decisions in this home, like, you know, how tall to hang a light fixture or the scale of something, where I had some of my clients like give me like a thumbs up or just literally give me a thumbs down and say, try again, sister. So it is, you know, the home was designed by me, but I had some brilliant, brilliant clients that said yes or no on a few particular items. So now we're in the guest suite, and this is where our friends love to come and spend the night and hang out with us here. Something really special that the previous owners left were these window treatments. I'm obsessed with these. I could not believe they left them. They said it just didn't work in their new home, and I was like, score. So I already had this built-in kind of scheme of doing something that felt really soft and feminine and also had some blue tones. So I had this idea. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I have some really cool little like French pieces or antiques that I could incorporate into this space. So I wanted to bring kind of like this blue cream throughout the entire room. We had this rug recently made from Sisal Rugs Direct. They did custom cuts of everything, which is really special. I have Sisals throughout the rest of the home, but I got them before I gave birth. And now my daughter is starting to crawl. I felt like I needed something a little bit softer. So we did a different rug here in the guest suite rather than the rest of the home. This is one of my favorite pieces in our entire home. My parents, for our wedding, gave my husband and I a pair of these beautiful, beautiful French mirrors. We have another one in storage because we just don't have the space or the scale for this home. So I think this is just such a beautiful piece, and I wanted to incorporate some of the blues or a little grape key, Sherpa, just something cozy that our guests could have just a wonderful little stay. Our friends will sometimes like take these and, you know, put them in the closet or somewhere, and they will put their luggage over here on the stool, which I just think is creative and fun. These are more beautiful David Austin roses, which I just think are lovely and beautiful throughout the property. I was visiting my family in upstate New York, and I was with my mom. We were at a grocery store. We were traveling somewhere, and we were walking past this barber shop, and I saw these 2 chairs. They did not have the leather. They were not painted. They were like falling apart. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with them. My mom did not know what I was talking about. Like, I was like, the chairs. She's like, which ones? They look gross. I love the arms of them. I went inside the barber shop and I was like, hey, you know those chairs that you have outside? I'm like curious, would you be open to selling them to me? They literally thought they were garbage. Like they weren't even sure where they came from. And they said, yeah, for $20, you can have them. Like kind of take them off our hands. So I was thrilled. Recovered these, repainted them. And then the same company, the custom couch company that did our sofas in the family room, they created these seats for me, which I just think are lovely and cozy, and I'll have them until the end of the time for $20, which is wild. And over on this wall, this was such a dream come true and so special. My husband and I had our wedding featured in the New York Times, and we woke up in the morning, a few days after the wedding, and it was there, and we clipped it, and this is just something that we wanted to have forever. So this is framed here, and it just reminds us of our really special day. And what's really special, I think, about this guest suite is that there is this beautiful ensuite connected, and it's really big and it's really full. So it's a large, large bathroom. This is a new addition to the house, which is kind of wild to me because it feels like it was original with this pedestal stank. I have heard, and I know this is crazy, but maybe you guys can relate to it. I have never showered in the guest room downstairs. There just hasn't been a reason or a need to, but I've heard the water pressure is amazing here, and maybe someday I'll have a need to shower down here, but until then, I think this is a really, really special place for our friends and our family to come stay in this space. This whole entire guest suite was an addition that the previous owners put on the property because the Carriage house only had a small square footage and they wanted an extra bedroom. And I feel so grateful that they did this project and they did such an exceptional job on it. The ceilings are so tall. I think they're close to 20 feet. And they have lighting in these little brackets or these beams. And I just think it feels light and bright. And it feels like it is a space that could honestly be a primary suite. My husband and I have talked about, like, maybe we should move down here. Except we don't have a bathtub down here. But it does feel like a really special space that's just right off the family room. And it overlooks a garden in the front yard. Welcome to our primary suite. The space is actually pretty large, which allowed us to put a whole entire, almost full-size sofa in the space to watch TV. And since my daughter was recently born, like 8 months ago, for the first 3 months, this was really, we like to call it, the four-poster bed was our headquarters. I would text my girlfriends and FaceTime them and they say, are you in the HQ? So this is where emails would happen. Our baby would sleep with us. My husband and I would be here. She'd be taking naps and the puppies would come hang out with us. So this is the headquarters and that's the new nickname for the space. Over here, we have this beautiful, large storage chest. It's a historic home. It's from 1929 and it was a Carriage home. So it was never used as someone's full-time residence. So we had to get really creative with storage. Like even our nightstands are massive. Like those have undies in there and those have bathing suits in there because we needed to get creative. One of my favorite pieces, I think, in this space, or favorite collection, are these vintage Christian Dior frames. I had a girlfriend who knew that I loved vintage Dior and she found these, I think on like First Dibs or Cherish as a wedding gift. So we did tons of special black and white photos of our family, and these are just fun, beautiful reminders that we get to see every day. And I think something that's also pretty special is this piece of artwork. I was staying at an Airbnb in Asheville, North Carolina, and it had a staircase, and it was a black staircase, and it was this massive, like 15, 20-foot ceilings, and they had so much artwork. It was like a massive gallery wall, and I was walking down the stairs, and I saw this piece, and I'm like, I'm obsessed. I need this piece. And my husband was like, what? Like, no, there's no way. This is not like a stay here and purchase it with tags on it. But I was just obsessed, and I was thinking about it for like all 4 days that we were there. And we were on the Airbnb chat. There was some issue with something going on with the oven, and we were talking to the owner. And I said, by the way, something's going on with the oven. We can't figure it out. What's going on with the gas. P.S. I'm really curious about this piece. Would you be open to selling it? And I think he kind of felt bad about the oven. And I also think that he wasn't attached to this piece and he didn't even know really which one I was talking about till I sent a picture. But he said, yes, you can have it. And when you like find something you're just in love with and you're going to have it until the end of time, this is one of them. It just spoke to me and I don't know why, but I love it. And something I love to do throughout our home is I love to rip out little pieces from coffee table books. I was reading a book years ago and the inscription said, this is dedicated to the ones I love. Like, this is dedicated to the ones I love. I thought that was so sweet. So I ripped it out and I put it here. And I thought if I was to ever write a book or if I was to ever produce a movie, this is dedicated to the ones I love. It's just, I think, a really sentimental little piece. And similar to probably so many of you Homeworthy viewers, when I travel and I'm in beautiful hotels or I'm staying somewhere, I'm always looking around for inspiration and ideas. And I think something beautiful about, boutique hotels is they always have water by the bedside. And we were staying in Round Hill, Jamaica, and I saw these. And they literally came from Amazon. I just thought they were lovely. And I was like, I need this. Like, no longer am I going to be just bringing up a cup of water. They came from Amazon. And they just came from also Round Hill inspiration. So this is my husband's nook over here that I've styled a little bit for him. Also in this space, this came from my mother-in-law. And I just think the colors are so beautiful. Like, look at those details. I think it's lovely. This was in her dining room, and she used this as a like china storage cabinet and had a bunch of napkins in here. And when she downsized, she was going to list this. And I said, wait, I love it. I have no idea where I'll put it, but please, like, can I take it? Like, what are your thoughts? So she is so happy that this is in our home. And as mentioned, like, storage is hard in a historic home. So this is actually my handbag storage. So I put all of my bags in this little chest or in this little closet. And it has a fun little lock on it, which is just like, it feels like this old piece of history from my mother-in-law that's now used for everyday living. In this space as well, we have some really fun prints. We did kind of this like small gallery wall. I have my daughter's little feet, you know, when you're like at the hospital, like at Northwestern, they stamped them. I cut them up and then I put them into this frame. Something special that we also have over in this little space here is these prints, and I have them going up the stairs, going up the stairs from downstairs to upstairs. This came from Savannah, and I was in this little antique shop, and this woman went to Paris, and she came back with a collection of these little like printouts, and they had different fabric swatches. And back in the 1800s, she was telling me that this dressmaker, she collected all these fabric swatches and then she put numbers on it. So this is like 945 or 943. And women would go in to purchase a gown and she would say, which one do you want? And here's my fabric swatches, here's my trim. So I bought like 10 of them from her and then I framed all of them. So we have them going up the stairs from downstairs to upstairs. And I also just put it here as a bonus little extra. And I just love sentimental details. Once again, I just think that the little moments are really big moments. So this is my grandmother's charm bracelet that my grandfather gave to her when she was 16 years old on her 16th birthday. It's not a piece that I wear, but I have it here and I love to look at it, and I will eventually give this to my daughter. Like, here's the sweet 16 little charm. He has them on here for when she gave birth to her first child, for their first anniversaries, and I just think it's a really special little token to keep. And I also think that homes should have not only sentimental pieces, but pieces that make you laugh. And I don't think I've ever laughed harder in my entire life than when we went to get my baby her passport photo. She looks like a mini judge / mafia boss. It made me laugh so hard. My husband took her to CVS to get the photo done. They put a little cloak on her. She obviously can't sit or stand. So we had to hold her up and then they would take a photo because we couldn't be in it. So I've never laughed harder in my life. There's an extra little photo for the passport. So I framed this little guy to have next to me. And off of our bedroom, we have our primary bath. And this home also has a Jack and Jill with my daughter's bedroom. So once again, it's super special home, and in the middle of the night, I go from our bedroom to her bedroom to get her a bottle, but this home won't work long-term because of the Jack and Jill, because I know my daughter at 18 years old does not want to share a bathroom with her mom, but for now it works perfect to have this set up. We have this beautiful tub, which I just think is so lovely and so fun, and we love doing bath time with my daughter, and the duckies are a new addition from a friend, and they make bath time just so much fun. And I'm always looking to incorporate interesting and unique artwork throughout the home. So this came from an estate sale not too long ago, which I just think is such a beautiful addition and the right scale for this little bathtub. What's really special about this space too is that it overlooks the courtyard. So we have like a little cafe curtain here, but in every single window we have window boxes. So I'll hear the little birdies in the window boxes. We get florals done throughout the year for all 4 seasons. So I think this is just lovely. And sometimes, like, honestly, like, I'll be like getting ready and I'm like, oh my gosh, what time is it? Like, I think we have friends coming over. I'll come in here because no one thinks to look out the window, and I look out to see who's coming, which I think is just kind of fun. In this space as well, my husband and I, we have this shared vanity. And I love how the previous owners did this, you guys. Like, I didn't do it. And I just love the selections that they made. It feels classic, but it also feels modern. I love these mirrors. I love the symmetry, and I just think they did such a lovely job. And they worked with the space once again. Like, this didn't have plumbing. This was a chauffeur's apartment, and there was like a bathroom on the other side in this bedroom, and they remade this whole entire area. It has a sloped ceiling, and they took fun subway tile, once again classic, up to the ceiling. And they also did within the shower, beautiful tile throughout and in the little nook as well. So it is the perfect space. It's the right amount of storage, and the layout works really well for our family. So let me show you my daughter's nursery, my favorite spot in this home. My favorite room in this home is my daughter's nursery. I love this space. We painted all of the trim this like really beautiful pink, and I wanted it to feel whimsical and really match the home. And at the same time, I wanted it to be sophisticated and something that she could grow into. And also keeping in mind, like, if I eventually wanted to use this home as like a studio space or as some sort of rental, that we didn't have to rip up all the wallpaper and like repaint. Like, it could be a really, really cool office space, or it could be a really cool closet. So I love that this room feels really warm and it feels layered. I found this amazing artist on Etsy, and she did oil paintings of little bunnies throughout the space. So I was really inspired to bring in little teeny tiny animals. I have Christmas tree ornaments that I like cut off the top of the Christmas tree, and they're little birds that I like hid on her bookshelf. So it feels like this little magical, whimsical world. It overlooks the courtyard. So there's this window box of flowers, and there used to be a mama bird and a baby bird that had a little nest there. And I think one of the coolest spaces in her bedroom is this little area where you open up the door and it says girls only. And in the turret of the main part of the property, you can walk down the stairs, and there's a little teeny tiny hidden nook, and it's like 5'2" in height. My husband can't get up there. He's 6'3", so that's why it's girls only also. And her and I have been feeding there in the middle of the night, and I know it'll eventually be a little play space for her. The nook overlooks the kitchen, so I can just envision her being a little girl and doing like a tap dancing show or some sort of like stage performance to overlook the kitchen. So there's lots of little whimsy in that room, from the hidden nook to the hidden animals to there's beautiful windows, and the tree outlooking the window has little birds that go in there. It's a special little place. This is my favorite room of our entire home. This is my daughter Lyda's nursery. It feels whimsical. It feels sophisticated in the sense that she can grow into it in time, and I'm kind of jealous. I wish this was my bedroom too. I think this wallpaper is just so lovely. It feels like almost like you're in this secret garden. And even her view, I'm like, sister, you have the best view ever. It overlooks a whole entire ravine, and we get little birdies that come into the window. We get deer out here. It's snowy. It's winter wonderland in the Chicago winters. I loved this idea also of mixing pattern and kind of having this British feel. So we have this beautiful toile mixed with this beautiful wallpaper, painted all of the trim. I had a friend help me pick out the color, friend and client, which was just really special. And one of the pieces that I had probably for 15 years was this antique children's horse. I went to an estate sale. I was probably like, I have no idea how old I was, like too early to be thinking about nurseries. And I saw this piece and I just fell in love with it. I grew up in upstate New York, so a little bit away, 15, 20 minutes away from Saratoga, New York, where they have the horse races. And one of the old jockeys, he had a home and there was an estate sale and they were selling this horse. And I just saw it and I was like, I love it. And I was with my parents at the time and they were like, all right, like you have a shoebox apartment. You're trying to start a business, like save your money. You don't need a children's antique horse. I fell in love. I needed it. And literally my girlfriends and I would be like sipping our cheap wine and like have the little horsey with us. And now it's in my daughter's nursery. So in due time, it found its place. This beautiful spindle crib was something that I just thought was lovely. There was so many vintage ones on the market that I fell in love with, these Jenny Lind cribs. But my husband and I were super adamant that we didn't know, in terms of recall, what that looked like. So I searched high and low, and lo and behold, I can't believe it, but I found this at Pottery Barn Kids. And I just think it's a beautiful classic piece that will turn into a toddler bed really, really easily. And I think one of my favorite pieces in this entire space are these oil painted bunnies. I found this amazing artist. I sent her the color scheme of my daughter's room, and she was able to create these lovely, lovely pieces. They have texture, they're beautiful, they're layered, and the mommy and baby bunny just makes me so happy. We call my daughter Bunny all the time. So I think it's a fun little nickname and perfect with these pieces. In this room in particular, there are so many vintage items. I'd say it's probably like 90% like estate sale vintage finds, minus her rocker and also minus the crib. So this was a really fun find. And this old little house, and it says School of the Ballet. As a little girl, I always wanted to be a ballerina. So we'll see what my daughter thinks, but this is so fun. We use this for diaper storage. So this has extra wipes and diapers. I found this little seat at an estate sale. And my daughter fits in it right now. She's 8 months old, so we hold her in it for like 2 seconds to take a photo. But this went to Leslie, and it has a little note on the end that it was 12. So December 1968. So I thought this was a fun little piece that her bunnies can sit on, and she can take one little photo on it now. This glider came from one of my clients and one of my dear girlfriends, Kathy Quo, and I love the layering as well. So this was a new piece and a new find. This blanket, it's not a blanket, it's actually my scarf, and a little shawl that I used to use before I gave birth, and I just thought the colors were lovely, and I wasn't using it. So this sits here with my daughter, and we wrap up cozy at night. And this piece is so special. Oh my gosh. I saw this and I fell in love with it. This came from an antique dealer. This is a French piece, and I wanted to have a piece that she could grow old with. And if she didn't want it, I would gladly raise my hand and take it myself. So this is her changing area. And it's a beautiful French antique, and I think it works lovely. I had so many friends and family saying, Rach, buy a piece that is like from Pottery Barn Kids or Restoration Hardware. They like do these sets, and I wanted to go do something different and something that she could grow old with. So I think that this is wonderful. And this mirror was also an antique find. And I think what's really special about this mirror is has fall foliage. So I feel like you always see these lovely French mirrors where they have like flowers on them. This has little acorns and leaves. So I think it's really this idea of like this whimsical 4 seasons in her room. And I have so many little hidden animals throughout. We have the horsey over there. We have the bunnies. We have another little bunny over here. And throughout her bedroom, I have these little, let me see if I could reach and show you guys, these little Christmas ornaments that I got at a Christmas market, and I like pulled off the piece to hang them on trees, and I put little sticky tape, and there's like little owls and there's little birds throughout her bedroom, which I just think are fun. And when we have family friends that come over, that have a 4 or 5 year old, we always say like, how many animals do you think are in the room? And they go try to find them, and no one finds this one. I'm the only one that knows. So this is a fun little piece. And I think Lyda's closet is also a moment. Like when I grow up, I would love to be Lyda. This is a great closet for a great little girl. This sweet little bunny, this little hat, she came home to the hospital with this hat. This came from Northwestern. They're like this big, their little heads. And I kept the beanie and I put it on her little bunny. So I will forever have this, and she can use it too. We have all of her friends. They're all ready to go. These are French baskets that I got at an antique store. So we use this on a regular basis for her dirty laundry. And this is just a really fun guy. And I think it was used like for a vegetable garden, for carrots and celery and all of the things, but it holds all of her friends. We have antique Peter Rabbit, which is fun. This came from a team member of mine that gave to me that as a gift. And her little sockies, these cute little guys. These are all in little different baskets. So I think that this is such a fun little moment. And it is the perfect size, and it has all these adorable little outfits. Once again, it's like, can I be here when I grow up? I love this closet. So there's lots of little fun moments throughout here. And I think, let me show you over here, because this is a really fun moment too. So I've been starting to think lately, like, am I now a collector of blue small chairs? Like, why do I have multiple blue small chairs? I have that one over here. I found this one at an antique market. So now apparently I'm a collector of two. But her bedroom has a few of these little guys. So when she gets a little bit older, I was talking to my husband. He's like really crafty and handy about maybe making her a little desk to go here with her little chair. This is a window box that overlooks the courtyard. And this is where we had a mommy bird and a baby bird had a nest here earlier this year. Like, what a dream. Like, I think this is so fun and so whimsical to have a miniature desk with this little chair to do her homework in. I think it's really special. And I wanted to have a little moment for her books. So here's another one of our little friends has made an appearance. This is a dish rack, and I wanted to display her books and not hide her books. So my husband painted this to match all the trim and the doors in her room. And we show off all of her little fun books. And there's a lot of like fan favorites from when I was a little girl. Madeline, I just feel like she's so fun. And Eloise is obviously an American superhero. So we have a lot of like fun ones in her space. And as mentioned, this is my favorite room for so many different reasons. One, because I spend so much time here with my daughter, and two, because it feels whimsical and wonderful and just is this hidden tucked away with nature. My true reason why this is the favorite part of the house is because of this. So let me show you. There's a secret little nook over here, and I always like to say to my husband, this is girls only. We got this painted from a friend who did this, which was just so fun. So if you follow me, I'll bring you into her secret little playroom. So in this nook, this is the turret of the home, which is just so special and fun. We have this full wood ceiling with great lighting. And this is the staircase that goes down for her, and she's the only one that can access it. So this really feels like it came out of a storybook. On this wall right here, we have the original architectural drawings of the home that were done by hand, which is just so cool. The original owners kept them, and we were able to frame them. So David Adler, we have the Strauss property, and right here you can see that he has the 3-car garage. So there's the 2 different garages here, or the 3 different garages here, which is really special and lovely. And once again, those shutters that we match to the outside of the home and the turret, it's all here. So that's just wonderful and fun. Careful going down these stairs. There are like 3 little guys, but we have some fun. It's kind of almost like a little gallery area here. This is like the adult part. And then you can scoot in here and you'll have to duck. So I'm 5'7", my husband's 6'3", and he can't fit in here. I can only fit up until here, and then I have to scoot in a little bit. So this space is teeny, teeny, tiny. We have a little lounge chair in here. There's a little circle like port window that overlooks the ravine. We have tons of books that we've been collecting. This beautiful vintage rug that came from Egypt that my husband and I found when we were traveling on our honeymoon. And this is where I take my daughter and I feed her in the middle of the night. This is where we've been reading some books. And I know as she gets older, we'll probably take this piece out. We'll probably put in a little tent or a little play area because this overlooks the kitchen, which is so fun. So I picture this being her little like stage. Maybe she'll do a tap dance and show for us or something when she's older. But this is a really special spot that only she can access, this little nook. There's no other way to get to it than her bedroom, which is just a really special little area. So this is the half bath that's off of our kitchen, and this is where our guests use to use the restroom. So we have this beautiful wallpaper, which I just think is lovely, and it feels a little English and layered. And then I have this beautiful oil that I found at an antique fair years ago, and I thought the colors felt like almost like a little entrance into what was happening in the bathroom. So we have this kind of like jewel box of a restroom. It has this beautiful mural, and you know, every angle has a different look and a different feel. So over here we have like these rolling pastures. We have this beautiful tree, and then we also matched the trim to all of like the vanity pieces. And I just think it feels like a little moment because the rest of the house is so light and bright, and there's lots of little moody moments happening in here. And we have the greenhouse window again, which overlooks the ravine, and we get to see all of the little animals in this special space. So we're in the entryway of the home, and I think it's incredibly special because you walk right into the turret. So it almost feels like you're walking right into a storybook off of the courtyard. And I think the most interesting piece about this space is you can look all the way up and you can see the full wood ceiling that's lit beautifully. We had a lighting designer come in and do that. We have not enough space for much, but we have a little chair to take off your shoes, a little table to drop your keys, and love those sentimental moments throughout the home. This is my late father-in-law's cigar box, and this is where I've kept really special notes that have been written over the years. So I keep them here for storage, which feels pretty fun. And around the corner we have where our dogs eat and they drink, and it's kind of their hangout zone. So we have a really fun gallery wall that is used for our dogs. We have artwork. I got an oil done of my puppy. I always like to make a joke that it's like she's like the Queen of England getting a custom commissioned oil painting of her. And I have some beautiful little books that I cut out, pictures of Rottweilers from the 20s. So we have this beautiful gallery wall of doggies that makes it feel really fun and special, and they're members of our family too. Home means to me a really safe and warm landing spot, and I also view home as a place that you feel inspired, and I feel like Snowdrop Cottage does both of those two things. We are 5 minutes from a train station to get to downtown Chicago. We are a 4-minute walk from this amazing international music festival called Ravinia. And just this summer, we had John Legend come, we had Norah Jones come, we had James Taylor come, and we can walk there with our picnic basket. So we have easy access to inspiration, but we're also tucked back and we're fully gated in, and we're on the back of a ravine, and it just feels like this little magical little fairy tale place.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.